Hello, dear viewers. Hello, dear speakers. My name is Irina Litchfield, and it's my pleasure to be your guest host today. I am covering for Kyle Ellicott, who is, as you know, an amazing moderator and a wonderful host. And I know that all of us dearly love him, and so it's such an honor. Today, we are here to talk about impact investments. Impact became a big part of our lives, especially in this year. And it is so wonderful to see such a diverse and great group of speakers. And it is an honor to be able to continue these discussions and conversations on a weekly basis with you guys and make sure that we keep advancing development of impact. And impact is in so many aspects. Impact is in farming, and it is in fashion, and it is in space, and it is in manufacturing, and it is in food and water and everywhere. And what's beautiful now too is that we finally have a ways to start measuring impact. And I'm sure Keith will give us a chance to talk about it. So before we start into the questions, I would love for you guys to introduce yourself, so the viewers, those that don't know you, will get a chance to get to know you better. And with that, Jim, Paulo, would you introduce yourself, please?
Well, thank you very much, Irina, fellow panelists, our audience. Good day, everyone. My name is Paulo Barrichi. I'm a venture capitalist, a serial entrepreneur on the board of several different groups in Europe and the United States, in India, in Singapore. And I've been 30 years in the financial industry as an investment banker, private equity specialist. I'm on the board in the US of a group called American Colonial Capital, which is a private equity asset manager and operator. I'm the chairman of a single family office with which I've been doing impact investing for about 20 years. And I'm really happy to be with all of you today. And with that, I'll leave it back to you, Irina, because there's a lot of panelists today.
It is, and I'm so glad that when we just started discussing this topic, remember, Keith, there were just a couple of us. And I love that this panel is growing. To me, this communicates that it is just becoming more and more important. And it's wonderful. It's reassuring. We need this reassurance more than ever before to look up toward the future, while the winter weather is starting and sweeping us and keeping us cold inside, inside and away from going into outdoors. And Keith, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Irina. So Keith Gillard, I've been in VC and in the impact space for 20 years. Before that, I was an entrepreneur, but I began my career in VC with Mitsubishi Corporation, focused on clean energy and environmental technologies, and then became president of BASF Venture Capital America, opening up their office in Silicon Valley. Again, all investments that would be considered clean tech or impact. And then for 10 years was general partner of Pangea Ventures. Earlier this year, I've split off and founded my own new firm called Upper Stage Ventures, and it's more of a hybrid PE-VC model, acquiring companies that are making an impact in the supply chain.
Thank you, Keith. And what about you, Catherine? Could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. What an honor, really, to be here with all of you. You're from Poland and India and Italy and New York and so many great places. And here I am in humble upstate New York. So again, this is really an honor. I am a co-founder and partner of Chloe Capital. We're a movement-driven venture capital firm that invests in women-led technology companies around the world. And in addition to investing with a gender and diversity lens, we host Invest in Women programs in partnership with universities and foundations and corporations. And the idea behind this is 24 hours to get in, get out, and catalyze as much impact capital as we can for female founders who, unfortunately, at least in the US, are still only receiving about 2% of the venture capital funding, and African-American female founders are just slighted. They're getting 0.2% of that funding. So again, it's a pleasure to be here. In addition to Chloe Capital, I also am the Chief Investment Officer for Social Venture Circle. And I work with about 3,000 high net worth individuals. They range from angel investors to royal families. And again, it's really just about moving their capital in the areas of which they deem necessary. And we look for triple bottom lines or B Corp companies.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And it is still so surprising that it is the ugly truth of reality. In this country, in US, where we think we're so progressive, that where we think we are just leading the world in so many ways, women founders are still getting underfunded, and women executives having hard time finding jobs, and getting underpaid and all that. So I really appreciate that you're dedicating your life and effort and approaching it from so many different verticals. Thank you so much for that. And Jose, what about you? Could you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Irina. So happy to be here with you on your show today. My name is Jose Raza. I've been a serial entrepreneur now for more or less like 40 years. I moved into the investment area. I've been a private investor, business angel for more or less like 26 years. Was a VC for 3. I always say this story. It's always the same. I like to be an entrepreneur. So I went back to the entrepreneur area. Today, although I have still both roles, I'm working on something very exciting, which is going to impact 2 in every 10 citizens in the world. So it's about more or less 20%. And it's real impact investment, and it's about business inclusion. Thank you, Irina.
Business inclusion and impact investment. It just sounds right. So I love that it just sounds right. And what's beautiful is that impact is now the crazy word that people say, roll their eyes and say, I don't know, you're just, I don't know what you're talking about. Investors really, truly want to see impact in all aspects of their investors, and the entrepreneurs are now expected to demonstrate what impact they're making. So Lubna, what about you? Could you please introduce yourself?
Sorry about the mute. Hi, I'm Lubna Rajani. Delighted to be here again. I am a serial entrepreneur as well. Moved to investing in, most recently it's micro investing, again, in women, inclusion, and diversity, with a focus on cultural regeneration and indigenous microcultural regeneration, where we're looking at investing in small communities and in women-led businesses, where we believe women carry the burden of ensuring that the livelihood of their families. And we're looking to create ecosystems within that can sustain an economy in a community beyond the well-being of the larger society that it's within.
Thank you very much. Nitin?
Hi, good evening, Irina, and good evening and good afternoon to wherever the BCTV viewers might be. Just a short introduction on me. I'm Nitin Shaktar. I'm the founder and CEO of the Green Capital Single Family Office. Our family office I'm the 3rd generation, and we started investing activities in 1985 in India. So it's been a 35-year journey of investing across different asset classes: public equities, private equity, venture capital, real estate, bonds. And a percentage of our portfolio over the last 10 years has been dedicated to impact investing, both in Asia and India. And some of our assets, around 25% of our assets, are in US, UK, France, Germany, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And our bent of mind is to obviously look at, by nature, impact investing has a lot more women entrepreneurs in Asia. So that's a very, very great opportunity for us to keep on investing. And we've got some successful investments there. Our fund size and proprietary assets under management is approximately $300 million as of date. Thank you.
My mute button wasn't unmuting. I apologize. Thank you so much. When I was in 1985, I was 5 years old, and I told my mom, I want to have a lot of money. And my mom said, you can't. And I said, well, but I want to. And she said, well, honey, you can't, because in Soviet Union you couldn't. And I remember making that thought of like, well, nobody's gonna tell me what I can, I cannot do. And you know, it's amazing now to be here and hearing that people all over the world have that freedom and using their money to make difference in other people's lives. And as an investors, we have that responsibility. And Nicole, welcome back. So great to see you. We talked about investment investment in impact last time, and it's so great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, Irina, and what a joy to be here among so many amazing investors and entrepreneurs. You're all doing amazing things, so thank you to everyone. I'm here wearing a hat. I wear many hats, and I wore a different one for you, Jose. But I have a marketing and business development strategy firm called Outfront Solutions. So that's what I help entrepreneurs and you know, even up to enterprises really nail their branding and messaging for purpose, for growth, for increased valuation, that type of thing. So that's one hat that I wear. The other hat that I wear that's squarely focused on impact is I am a founding LP and an advisor to How Women Invest. So How Women Invest is a fund that we are successfully just closing we've done so in just a few months. It's for women and by women. So we have LPs who are predominantly women of color, and we are investing in female founders and female leaders. And those need to be organizations that are seed stage or later, maybe early A, that have some traction. And it's really important that we're moving the needle in gender lens investing, because if you look at the PitchBook statistics, even since we've been raising this fund, the statistics have gotten worse. So only 1.8% of venture goes into solely female founded companies. That's paltry. That's just wrong. And so via How Women Invest, we're training women on investing and taking control of their wealth. So there is a firm side of what we're doing. And then there's the first fund, which is just $10 million, structured that way so that we could have up to 249 different LPs to give them access to investing. So happy to be here, and thanks. Thanks for everyone for your support and supporting gender lens investing.
Absolutely. It's interesting that COVID pushed things into the opposite than desired for women founders. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see that while a lot of different opportunities, while the current reality is pushing opportunities into kind of a growth cycle for a lot of industries, for women, this is really challenging times for women entrepreneurs. And I think especially now they need more support because they're a foundation of family structures as well, right? Women entrepreneurs, they wear a lot of hats. They also have families to manage and the children and the household and all these things, and they do an amazing job. And I believe, every woman entrepreneur that I know, they're just a powerhouse. They're so strong and powerful. And actually, we're doing a private gathering, Aura Global, this coming up weekend, and we have a panel of women leading innovation. And it is amazing to see how really the true leadership, the true steps into kind of the boldness is happening with women, and especially in these times. So I really think and believe that we can use these times to really empower more women. So, and every time we see more and more women joining. And so ladies, keep on doing a good job. Let's stay connected, and gentlemen, empower us as well. We need that balance. We need to make sure that it is through your voting power that you empower women as well. So remember,
and the numbers and ROI for your investment are absolutely there as well. So
right. And so Nitin, I would love to start with you, and I would love to ask you how your family office values and evaluates impact, because it is definitely something that can be very complex. The more we think about what impact means and how we measure it, it is very, very hard, especially when it comes to something that does not include water, food, and air. So how do you guys evaluate impact?
Rina, I think there is a wrong fallacy with somebody who does not know about impact investing. And specifically, I'm asking the viewers, impact investing can be extremely profitable. And you just have to see what areas you are going to be in and what population spreads are you going to do. Because if an idea can change anybody's life, I think that idea is the most profitable idea ever possible in the whole planet. I'll give you an example. I think 10 years back, we invested in a woman entrepreneur. I wouldn't like to take the name or the specific brand. That woman entrepreneur was creating low-cost menstrual or sanitary pads, as we call them in India. And she was addressing a large population in India. India, as you know, has a large rural population. We've got millions and millions of villages where accessibility to women-led issues was a challenge. Societal barriers were there. But I think I can safely say that we've got a very, very successful exit over the last 10 years with this brand. In fact, this brand was so successful that a movie and a mainline commercial cinema movie was made on this brand and this entrepreneur. And this really opened our eyes to impact investing and how we can create profit, purpose, as well as ensure that we are working and creating and making a difference to somebody's life. Now, that's a prime example. I don't want to talk too much about it because we've got a large panel. I'm sure we should have opportunities for everyone. But I'll come back with other investments that we are looking at and how we evaluate certain investments in relation to the air, in relation to waste, and in relation to COVID as well. And as a family office, I think we've got substantial profits. We've had a very good year, unlike a lot of other investing firms. Very few people to be lucky to do that. And I think we will give back and invest heavily in impact this year and next year as well. Thank you.
That is so great. And thank you for sharing this use case. I've been to India over 30 times, and it really is amazing to see what's happening in India and how much difference can be made through just application of those simple, through making available those simple things that we don't even think about that are needed, and how much difference it makes in the world. So thank you for sharing that. It really touched my heart. Thank you. And Catherine, what about you? You're working with women. How do you guys measure impact? How do you measure through both of the groups that you're working with? You know, what does that mean to you guys?
Absolutely. So Chloe Capital, we really look for the underrepresented and underserved founders. As you mentioned, impact investing is not philanthropy. Okay, we're VCs and we are responsible. We have a fiduciary responsibility to ourselves as investors and the other LPs to create a return. So of course we have as our mission, and it is our investment thesis, that we are looking for women-led technology companies. That means that you can't just say my wife is my wife and therefore she's an owner of my company. You're right, she is. But what we really want to see is 20% of equity on a cap table before we can invest. It's as simple as that. In addition to that, we do invest outside of New York City and Silicon Valley and Boston, because there's gems out there that are just haven't been uncovered and discovered yet. And if you can give them just the littlest amount of money, you watch how scrappy and how resilient they are. They take that money and they just fly with it. It's heartwarming to see, again, what they do on the impact side of things. But then as investors, it's also just smart business.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you mentioned the kind of a wife, owns it. And I can actually relate to it. My husband we've been co-founders number of times. And when we found our Bitcoin exchange almost 8 years ago, we were actually advised to just for me to do work and not be on cap table. And in fact, when we closed $1.7 million, so when we launched a demo conference, our partners said, well, wives are wives. They don't do work because they were from Mexico and whatever. And that has been my personal experience often, that's kind of how it's treated, to where, and I am a powerhouse woman. I mean, people that know me know that I get things done, right? If I say something is happening, oh, it's gonna happen, right? But in the end of the day, it's like being, okay, now let's put somebody else that has a male figure in front of it after things are done. It's a reality. It's just what it is. It doesn't, it doesn't hurt, but feels unfair. And I do know a lot of women who they go in and they try, and then they get that shove and they just cannot continue pushing forward, because it is very damaging, right? It is something that it requires the character to be able to say, no, you're not going to tell me I can't have all the money in the world, mama. I'm going to go and get everything I want, right? And we need that empowerment. So thank you for mentioning that, because it is a big problem with the husbands and wives. And yeah, you owe 50% of everything he does. So of course you do. Cap tables. I want to see it on cap tables. Thank you, Catherine, so much for that. And Nicole, what about you guys? How do you measure impact? Is it similar to what Nicole described? And if there's something additional that you guys look at?
Yeah, I mean, I loved all that you said, Catherine, and just a big echo, and let's share deal flow, because we have some amazing female entrepreneurs.
I think we are.
Oh, good. Are we? You know what? I was wondering if Julie. Okay, you're talking to Julie and Erica. Right on. Good. Okay. Very good. I'm obviously not completely on the all the deals on the investment committee, but I'm recommending them in and whatnot. But it's just, I mean, there are amazing statistics that show, women return 70 something cents on every dollar, as opposed to, male founders are returning like 30 some odd cents on the dollar. So, it's the numbers are absolutely there. Just to echo you, Catherine, we have a responsibility. We're here to make money. But what is always mind-blowing to me is how oftentimes investing in women, even their businesses are so often typically rooted in impact because of the way that their brains are wired. Right? We're wired a lot of times to think a little bit more holistically and think about our social impact and think about our environmental impact. And we're thinking about that very naturally. And so unfortunately, I can't yet announce our investments. We have made one, and we're closing on a second investment. But with that, with Chloe Capital, with Catherine, And so, you know, I'll announce that later, but just suffice to say that we are not even having to look at the layers deeper for impact. It's naturally coming. You know, there's healthcare companies, food handling companies, things like that, where you really want entrepreneurs who have that whole ecosystem perspective, and these entrepreneurs are bringing it, and with great returns.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, I know that there's a lot of money this fall, and we've been really bombarding this conversation talking about invest in women, of which is my favorite topic, and I appreciate. But here are two other things so I can segue to the men so they can have a turn to speak as well. Men are ambassadors. It is going to take a village to move this needle, and we need your cooperation in doing this. And it sounds like everybody on the call believes in impact, so you're right there with us. It's really now about tagging your friends in your community to drink the Kool-Aid as well. We also know that, yes, women-led founders statistically are doing better in terms of creating more return on investment for their investors, exiting faster, generating more sales. But why? It's because they have diverse leadership teams. And women and people of color and minorities, we're just not used to having the power. So that's why we really fight our way to that table. And again, we are scrappy with the money that we do receive, if we receive it at all. Okay, so this has to be a group effort. And with that, I am very appreciative to all the men on this call today. And, you know, perhaps we can start talking about other things as well, even though, again, invest in women is my favorite subject.
Absolutely. And sharing that deal flow, it's so important that we share deal flow. I think that's one of the challenges that we must overcome as investors, is the sharing of that deal flow. It's so important that we do that, especially since we're so segregated and hiding in our geographical pockets. Thank you so much for adding in. And gentlemen, we do need you. It is your voting power. We women can do so much, and we can do a lot, as you know, but it is your voting power that matters so much for that. So thank you for highlighting that. It's very, very important. Paulo, how do you look at, when you make investments, how do you evaluate impact, and what does impact means to you?
Oh, like some other fellow investors and panelists here today, I think we began impact investing long before the acronym became fashionable, and which opens up another can of worms, because as it always happened, and it happened in the past with ethical finance, you all of a sudden see a mushrooming of financial entities, for lack of a better terms, paying only lip service to impact investing because they understood that there's money to be had there, but their soul and their heart and the spirit is simply not there. So I urge everyone of the prospective limited partners or co-investors to take a good hard look at what it is that they've been proposed. And having said that, as I say, that's a topic for an entire different panel. Maybe some of in oncoming weeks or months we can talk about that. But well, you can take a look at impact investing under different specific items, gender specific here. My single family office decided to do something that was more territory or geography specific. We've been investing on emerging markets for actually longer than the family office existed, and we've been in fact infusing some of the experience that we had accumulated in emerging markets prior to the existence of the family office into the family office proper. We've been investing in frontier countries, and when you invest and in those markets, you really see how whatever you do creates a rapport with the population in the location where you invest or in the region where you invest, and how all the wire tingles and jingle much faster than if you are in a very developed economy. You really see the contribution that the investment is doing. And what we've been deciding to do was because we decided with the single family office, we do middle market private equity deals. Okay, that was the mandate. Having said that, I decided to nosedive private equity to the level where normally it doesn't intervene. And that's what they've been later referring to in the market as the Barrichi formula, because they think that I've invented something. I don't think I've invented anything. I brought a lot of good common sense and my experience in the market to our investments. So basically, we nosedive private equity to greenfield investment level, which normally private equity shuns away of that because, as a category, as an asset class of operator, private equity is too snobby to be involved in greenfield. But guess what? On emerging markets, like the CIS used to be when I started doing that, or frontier countries, sometimes greenfield, it's the only way that can get you a clean, compliant deal, and the only way in which you can have an impact on a territory, because obviously you don't find middle market transactions in which you can invest, and if you find something that is presented to you as such, probably it's too good to be true, or borderline, or even criminal. So the reality is, the only way that we knew how to de-risk our ventures was to invest on greenfield so that we could start everything from scratch. And bear with me, that implies a whole other set of options that you have to consider. The first being, you have to be a very patient investor, because obviously if you start a greenfield deal, obviously it will take some time before revenue generation kicks in. You cannot have it on the next month. And we decided, as I say, to nosedive, and not only nosedive, but also pick the sector that in our opinion, qualified opinion, if you will, was the most important in any developing economy, which is infrastructure. Because without infrastructure, you cannot build a foundation for a contemporary economy to sustain itself. And again, I think infrastructure is what would attract most of the potential limited partners. So if you make a fund, or if you did SPVs, or if you do SPVs or investment holdings equity, you can attract other co-initiators, co-sponsors, and co-investors in general. Because obviously, again, this is the primary foundation of any modern economy. So, this was our own way of interpreting impact and investing. And there's so many colors in the rainbow. We've heard beautiful experiences and different angles. I think it's important that whatever we do, add not only to the bottom line of the group that's making the investment, but also to the overall bottom line of the territories, of the geographies where we are manifesting our willingness, and we deploy our consideration in terms of cash.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
I really appreciate your insight. Keith, what about you? I have memorized what you're saying, and it's just so amazing. I mean, since you've said those measures, I've said it probably a million times in all my conversations, especially when it comes to regenerative farming, because I'm super passionate about that. But please repeat yourself, because this is yours, and I always say that Keith says that, and also I would love to see if you guys also adding other matrix of measurements in your current company as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hate to repeat myself or be a broken record here for any of the regular viewers. You've heard me say this before, but I believe that impact needs to be tied to commercial sales, because unless you are actually doing something in the market, then it's just an idea. An idea has potential, and ideas are great, and I get super excited about them for sure, but they're not yet having an impact if they're not commercial out there. So to come up with a formula that is defensible, is vetted by a third party, that shows that sales of a particular unit, or however $1 million or whatever it is of this company's products or sales, have an impact on CO2 reduction, on food production, on fresh water, either production of fresh water or reducing consumption of fresh water, on lives impacted, and then some of the other social metrics on gender balance. on minorities, on empowering of disenfranchised groups of people. These things are not that difficult to metric. Some of the other impact things like that are in the sustainability goals set by the UN, some of those are difficult beyond the scope of a startup company to actually be able to meter. But all the ones that I just mentioned are things that are quite capable, quite easily capable for these companies to be able to do. And so it's not burdensome to layer this upon them. Also, you can't put it on the fund manager to do as well, because LPs are not going to support an increase in management fees in order for you to do this extra work. They expect, maybe they don't yet expect, but I think over time they are coming to expect that these things are being done and that they can be metered and reported upon. And those funds or investment managers who are getting ahead of this trend have an advantage in fundraising from the LPs that are sensitive to this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing it. I took some, I love taking notes. You guys just all, I feel like I get smarter every single time. You know, I do this VCTV, and all of you are just so brilliant. And I feel empowered going into the world, and often I see your faces when I talk about things, because that's so important that we do that. And I just really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And what about you, Jose? Would you let us know about what impact means to you and how you invest and how do you measure it?
Well, I think I have a very specific view on this, but it's a view that really is impact investment. So first of all, I think we need to analyze what is impact investment. And at the essence, what you want is something that affects the well-being of the individual, right? And the community itself. Doesn't matter what it is, okay? As long as it impacts positively, you know, that community and the individual. So what we have noticed is, and this is a problem that exists since the initial setup of the humanity that has started with a business. There was one problem. I don't know when the first business was created, but maybe an X amount of thousands of years ago. But what I can tell you is that the problem of creating a business today is more or less the same problem as the first business that was created a few thousand years ago. And we have not done anything about it. And it's limited to an X amount of people that have the ingredients or the conditions that kick off that business, right? So the numbers are so bad that if you look at it, it's just not acceptable. Why is it that society has created so many solutions technology-wise, healthcare, governance, finance, but has not created a solution that empowers, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, okay, or if it's yellow or black or white, empowers every individual, right, to be able to just kick off that business, you know, and try to build it and gain the knowledge. Now, the problem is that 99% of the businesses that are created are not about innovation. That's the issue. And those 99 businesses that are created, essentially the founders of those businesses, they lack in the grand majority 2 essential ingredients. And those ingredients are the lack of knowledge because it's the first time, and the lack of the available funds to bring that business at least to break-even point. Now, we all know that professional investors, including myself, right, we like to mitigate risk. So what we do is we like to invest in later stages in which the businesses are revenue generating, and it's much less risky for us. But the problem is that before that business gets to that point, right, 75% of all businesses in the first year already closed down, and only 0.5% will survive after 5 years. Now, I'm asking, what are we doing here? Because there's a lot of talent among those people that just don't get a chance. And essentially, what they need is they need some cash to buy the time to gain the knowledge, okay? So what we are doing today at BizMoney, and I cannot avoid to say it because it will affect every two persons on this planet, on every 10 people, is that we are creating an ecosystem and an environment, okay, and a solution that enables the self-employed, okay, those people that are unemployed, the micro business owners, to act like Fortune 500 CEOs. Now, that's something new, because Fortune 500 CEOs, they don't do administrative tasks, and they don't do execution. They have a huge amount of people to do it for them, right? So that means that you free 74% of your time. Now, if you free your time, then you can focus on your business building, okay? So what happens with this whole setup is that we are giving them, okay, a business building curve, which instead of it being 2 years, it becomes to two, let's say, be more or less 6 months. And after 6 months, they're generating free cash flows. Now, why are those free cash flows so important? Because every business needs free cash flows to be able to survive, whatever you do, right? So those free cash flows can be used to fuel the business itself, to grow it up to that stage that professional investors normally want to invest in, which is when it's revenue generating. And then you are, let's say, a good moment to get in some extra funds to grow further your business. So this affects a huge amount of individuals on a global scale. I can tell you that the minimum is 45 million people. It doesn't matter which economy you're talking about. Doesn't matter which country you're talking about. It affects all of them, because if you look at the statistics, that's what it is.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And last but not least, Lubna, it's your turn. Tell us what the impact means to you and how do you invest in impact?
What Jose said. Well, you know,
great. I mean, that's amazing. If there's something you'd like to add.
When I first started my when I realized I was an entrepreneur and had to go off, when I was pushed into realizing it, I started a company called StrataMerge, which was strategies for emerging technologies and markets. And the tagline was innovation through collaboration, which is sort of at the heart of what we're trying to do. Exactly, really, I wasn't kidding about what Jose said. It's about seeding innovation where a traditional investor won't go, or at the very, very grassroots, and enabling hyper-local regeneration of the environment. When I said indigenous, I mean in every way. The land, the sea, the air, the planet, and the spot where these people are, the people themselves, and the society that they're within. So that microeconomy, creating connected microeconomies with a global platform, a global marketplace. But in terms of what we're doing, rather than focusing on shareholder returns, really looking at stakeholders and creating what sufficient regeneration that you would want to do sustainability, that you'd want to sustain. And based on the well-being, the planetary well-being, the society well-being as a community, which has to start with a personal well-being as well. So, you know, whether it's instead of smart villages and smart cities, we're looking to create healing cities, like well-being that it builds in, that integrates the nature or the culture that is existing, honors what was, and work together to regenerate while creating economic prosperity.
Amazing.
It's a bit bold.
Oh, yeah, I mean, well-being cities, how wonderful of an idea it is. And well-being, it doesn't just mean your body, your physical body, right? It includes your emotional fitness, it includes your environment around you.
Cyber well-being.
The education, everything around us, it contributes to our well-being. And what a beautiful idea to design the city or a community or systems where, I mean, well-being cities, what a beautiful way. I'm going to file that into my head too, that I'm going to use. And Lubna, I'm going to see a picture in my head when I use it, because that is just so beautiful and wonderful. What is clear to me is that impact comes in so many ways, and and that in you investors, you care about it. I mean, just to me, it's so empowering to know that each one of you are driven by all these different points that bring well-being for our planet. And what a beautiful idea it is to have that we can live and treat our planet as a way to have a well-being for all people around the world. And that is just, I'm having goosebumps just thinking about it. So thank you so much, guys, for your dedication, for your contribution, for you pushing the envelopes and boundaries, and most importantly, doing it before it was even cool, right? So you are the ones that are pushing the frontiers, and I'm just so excited to know and grow with you and see what you're able to do. And I'm just honored to be able to be exposed and be part of this. We are running up. We need 2 hours. We need at least 2 hours because there's so many of us, and we have so much to add. We're coming up to a top of an hour, and so we have about 15 minutes left. If we could basically close in with the closing thoughts and what's the best way to find you, I would really appreciate it. And I would love to start with you, Catherine.
Hey, thanks so much. Closing thoughts, we just all got to get out there. I mean, it's great to do these talks and to be put kind of on a pedestal for doing what we do, but really it comes up to supporting the founders that are creating the new innovations that are supporting the people and, again, the infrastructures in our world. So, you know, for the founders out there right now who have suffered during COVID, you were not able to find that silver lining. It's time to reach out to your investors and say, how can you help? Because we are there to help. Every single one of us on this call, I think we all consider ourselves as service-oriented VCs and investors. So we want to know how we can help you. And if it's just a pep talk, I'll pep talk you all day long, right? But if it's because you need connections to other investors so you can raise a little bit more money to get you over this hump, if you need connections to clients and customers within your industry, we want to dive into our Rolodex and we want to see who we know. There is an asset out there for you. We certainly don't want you to close up shop. It's in our best interest for you to stay open. So don't feel like you're doing a disjustice, that you're bothering us, that we are going to think less of you if you ask for help.
And what is the best way to contact you?
Absolutely. Please go to chloecapital.com. We've got a full team on standby waiting to assist, whether you are interested in being an LP, whether you would like to apply for funding through Chloe Capital, whether you would like to participate in our tour. You know, our movement right now is over 15,000 members strong, and it's not just an email list. These are people who are volunteering their time to do everything from tweet to, again, invest in our companies, invest in us. Also, something really cool right now is we have a donor advised fund. So if you're thinking about your philanthropic dollars and your year-end giving contributions, you can now invest in women with Chloe Capital simply by making a contribution and receiving a tax deduction similar to any other charitable contribution you may make.
What a brilliant idea.
Wow.
I love that. I just simply love it. Good job. Triple thumbs up if I had a third hand, for sure. Thank you so much. And Nitin, what about you? What are your closing thoughts, and what is the best way to get a hold of you and to contact you?
So, in terms of the closing thoughts, I'll give you 3 examples, which I think are execution-based investments, because people need to know how family offices and other investors are investing in social causes or impact investing. So the first one we've outlined is Delhi, which has a population of 20 million, which is the population of many countries put together. That's enough impact there. So we are outlining and working with an entrepreneur who does low-cost air purifiers. And if you look at the adoption of air purifiers in a polluted city like Delhi, that's 20 million. That means about 5 million households if I take 4 people per household. And you can look at the whole market 5 million is the population of a country in terms of a consumption, right? So that's one. Second thing that we are doing is we have realized that health, hygiene, and waste go together. And if we can clean our community waste and disposable of waste and landfills, it's a very important aspect of each and every city in the world. Trust me, the most cleanest of cities are struggling with their landfills around the world. They don't know where to dispose the waste. That's a huge cause for pollution as well. So we're working with a special SPV that we've set up on waste management. And these can be done in your community, in your small city. Don't have to be global in context, right? That's two. Three is, which I'm absolutely excited about. We've just created a consortium with another family office, a fund, and a logistics company to look into the distribution, execution, and delivery of the vaccine, which is going to come in February and March for most of the countries. Because trust me, this is going to be a very large exercise. It's like an election in a democracy where you need to be in each and every zone and village. And how do people get vaccinated? What's the structure? How do we reach out to people in the safest possible manner? And we can't do this ourselves. We realize this. So we're doing this across Asia, but with another family office, a fund, and a logistics provider which can store the vaccine at certain refrigerated temperatures as per what we get to know later. So those are three ideas we're doing. I hope we can inspire people, and I hope entrepreneurs need to be in impact investing. I would advise you to create your market studies, approach investors. Investors are open for impact investing. There's a large market out there. Every city struggles with a lot of social, economic, and environmental issues. So please be positive about it. And what we've also done is we've allocated 1% of our profits each quarter, which we continuously redeploy. Apart from the capex investing in impact investing, we're also creating causes, specific causes and specific vehicles for further accumulating this effect. Thank you.
And what is the best way to get hold of you?
The best way is to get add me on LinkedIn or send me a tweet and add to my following on Twitter, please.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. And Nicole?
Sorry, I was suffering from the same disease as not being able to hit the mute button. Okay, we're back. You'd think I'd be a complete expert after doing this 10,000 times a day. Parting thoughts are just this, an amplification of what my colleagues on this panel have said. Get out there, get involved, invest. If you're a prospective investor, there's programming kind of teaching you about what that's like and how to go about it. The How Women Invest organization, it's an inexpensive course. It's taught by a complete pro, Nancy Hayes, a prolific angel investor, and she's created many funds and is invested in How Women Invest. So get out there and invest. It's good business. It's great ROI. And guess what? It feels really good. You can wake up, look at yourself in the morning and say, you know what? I've put my energies and wealth into people who are looking to truly innovate and move the needle for all of us. So we're all very entrepreneur centric. We want to see our entrepreneurs succeed in every way they possibly can. And so the networks, like Catherine mentioned hers with Chloe Capital, we also are tied as How Women Invest to a network of 13,000 women via How Women Lead. And we're ready to step up alongside. And so get out, invest, support the entrepreneurs. They need it. They deserve it. They're expending every energy on it. Stay in touch with me. You can either find me via outfront.solutions or on LinkedIn. And if you wouldn't mind, please mention that this is how we met. And I'm also on Twitter as Techie Cat. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. And Jose, to you.
Well, I have a special closing thoughts for today, and I was thinking about it, but I decided to make this announcement. I think it's very interesting. So more or less after 15th of December, BizMoney is going to launch a special training program. It's free of charge, which is going to enable, and that's the focus, thousands and thousands of micro and new founders, business owners, to learn how to kick off that business. The training program has a very nice name. It's Cook a Business and Make the Right Decisions. So what we teach them is not to do execution. We teach them to make the right decisions, because today, with the amount of technology that you have, there is no need for you to execute a lot. It's more important that you have your soft skills and really make those right decisions along that roadmap. And after that training program, what we try to achieve is that idea that you have really comes to more or less, you're going to build it up yourself, comes to a reality. And if that reality comes true, that in 6 months, you will be able to start generating those free cash flows. And then you can decide to go out and raise those extra funds to build up that remaining part of that business that you want to set up. You can find it on, you can find it on LinkedIn, LinkedIn, Jose Grasa, or just click on BizMoney, or here on VCTV, and I'm always available. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for taking time and being here. Lubna, what about you?
Well, what hasn't been said? Well, I think I'll just say that entrepreneurship, it doesn't have really a prerequisite. You don't have to be a boy. You don't have to be a young or old or anything or anywhere. You can, and you don't have to be a techie. It can be in any way, even as a startup investor. You can just be a startup investor, and it's just another. You can bring any interest that you have to the market, where you can create value, where you can sustain yourself, where you can find in a happy place, where you're creating value for others. And I myself want to take up all my colleagues on their offers. There's plenty of people here now that are able and willing to help and know how to. So it's never been as easy to actually make a difference and move us to regeneration, and a place that we measure ourselves by how many more people have been able to be happy and to live well. You can reach me at lubnadajani at Gmail, at LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever.
Thank you so much. Keith, closing thoughts, and what's the best way to get hold of you?
Great. Yeah. Thank you. I actually really liked the focus more on gender and women's roles as entrepreneurs and as investors today. And I might suggest that becomes a specific topic. Perhaps you don't need us men on that panel for next time. Not that any of us were jumping in and mansplaining, but I don't want any interpretation from anybody in the audience that you need men to make these businesses work. I'm a big fan of that. In fact, I am actively looking for a female general partner to co-run fund. So if you have any recommendations, throw them my way. You can find me on LinkedIn or follow me on Twitter at Keith A. Gillard. And my new firm, although the website is pretty stealthy, is just upperstage.ventures. If there's an entrepreneur out there who wants to submit something, you can do it through the website.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And it's a great idea to make a women panel. We haven't had that yet. I really love that idea. And then we can have maybe 7 women discussing things. I just absolutely love that. And last but not least, Gianpaolo, closing thoughts and what's the best way to contact you?
Oh, thank you. I would say for impact investing, remove selfishness from your investment diet and it'll do wonders on your bottom line. And you can find me on LinkedIn or on gianpaoloparigi1 at gmail.com, on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to have all of you guys here. I believe the insight that you shared with our viewers, with the insights that we shared with each other, have big impact, and let's continue doing that. And to you entrepreneurs, I want to encourage you to please reach out to us, reach out to investors. You have a business, we want to see it. Don't be afraid that it's not perfect. Be vulnerable. It's okay. We're here for you. That's why we're doing what we are doing. And remember, if your thesis does not fit our thesis, it's fine. We can address you in the proper direction. Just make sure you follow up. That's all. We are humans and we care about you. And the reason we're doing investments instead of going on the yachts and doing champagne showers or whatever it is, right, is because we care about you. We care about each single one of you. And we believe that it is how we advance our world to a better place. It is the work and it is the service that we do. And please keep that in mind. We're not a gorillas and scary people who are just there to criticize you and, you know, and to take from you. We're here to give. We're here to give you wings. And sometimes those wings can only be placed after you can receive criticism. And then understand that it is productive criticism. We're not here to hurt your feelings. We're not here to take you down. And then investors, reach out. Let's build our network. Let's be stronger together. The way we overcome is through exactly this: connecting with each other, empowering each other, sharing each other's deal flow, understanding that maybe this deal does not work for me, but you know, I know that for you that might work together. And that way I think we can overcome some of the issues that are associated with things that are outside of our control. We can be stronger, we can be better, and together we will make a better reality. It is something that is our foundation. So thank you so much, dear speakers. Thank you so much, viewers. And thank you so much, VCTV, for doing this over and over again, for being the platform, for allowing us to stay connected during this world. And I know that when time comes and it's safe for us to travel, we're going to have this amazing in-person gathering. And I am personally looking forward to seeing and shaking hands with each one of you and connecting and getting to know you in that more personal space of being in a person gathering. So thank you so much. Follow, like, share, and most importantly, be part of our network. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, Irina. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.